Hey, it's August 10th. It's the 51st day of summer. It's National S'mores Day, and I have an actual football game to break down for you. Last night, the Panthers and Texans played, and the final score was... I'm just kidding. The final score doesn't matter. It's preseason. The only two things that matter are how did fantasy-relevant players perform, and why don't I have any s'mores? Where are my s'mores?
What?
Anyways, Kelvin Benjamin, he's first up. Didn't play a ton, but didn't weigh a ton either. There was concern back in minicamp that Benjamin might have eaten too many s'mores. What? Too many s'more jokes? Or would you like s'more?
You are so dumb.
Some of these are for me, kids. Some of these are for me. Anyway, reports were that he was really heavy, and while Fat Kelvin might be a great name for a temperamental rapper, it's a science joke. The kids, they love the science jokes. It's not a good look for an NFL receiver. But Benjamin looked fit and trim and every part a stud #1 receiver to me last night. He's got a great schedule this year, and while I do expect his ADP to rise, he's a real nice get right now at wide receiver 28. Personally, I have him as wide receiver 23 this year. Good to get a look at Christian McCaffrey last night as well. We expected him to get a lot of catches out of the backfield, but what impressed me the most is that the Panthers repeatedly ran him often between the tackles. It doesn't seem like they're going to try to hide him or use him as some sort of quasi-receiver specialist, and that means even more touches for the dynamic rookie. He's going as running back 14 on ESPN, just one spot above where I currently have him. Finally, Deshaun Watson. Did he make some plays? Sure. Did he have a running touchdown? You bet he did. But he also missed badly on some seam routes like rookie quarterbacks often do. If Watson ends up starting this year, he will have some fantasy value. But literally, for the 100th time, his current ADP of QB 16 is insane. Stop drafting him so early in redraft leagues, ahead of guys like Phillip Rivers, Andy Dalton, Carson Wentz, or Tyrod Taylor. You know, actual starting NFL quarterbacks that have been good at fantasy before. Please don't make me beg. S'more. We have a tweet. Look at this. A tweet about the Seahawks delivered by the Eagle. The magic of nature. Love the one you're with, kids. All right, so Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times reported yesterday that Thomas Rawls is the clear-cut #1 in Seattle, with Eddie Lacy working out exclusively with the second team. Now, it's still early, and they did pay a lot of money to Lacy to bring him to Seattle, but still, this is very much worth noting. Whether it sticks or is just 1 week motivation for Lacy, just reinforces what we've been saying on this show about how undervalued Thomas Rawls is, going as running back 50. Remember, when Rawls was last healthy in 2015, he averaged 5.65 yards per rush. And from weeks 3 through 17, averaged over 11 fantasy points per game. But to be clear, I'm not down on Lacy either. He's had a bunch of success in the NFL and fantasy as well, obviously. This still has some time to go before it shakes out, but the takeaway here is that the ADPs on Lacy and Rawls are great buying opportunities, especially Rawls. Lacy may go down a little bit, Rawls may go up a little bit, but right now on ESPN, you can get Lacy and Rawls for an 8th and 14th round pick. Since Pete Carroll took over the Seahawks, Seattle has led the NFL in rushing. Getting the starting running back on the Seahawks for an 8 and 14, all day, every day. Love that pairing. The Steelers have the best offensive weapons in football, or at least so goes the theory. While Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Martavis Bryant are all technically employed by the same team, Pittsburgh's Killer Bees have been on the field together over the last 2 seasons for a grand total of, drumroll please, 16 plays. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. There we go. 16 plays. Didn't know the cheese hat could do that. Just 16 plays together in 2 years for those 4. That is an insane stat. If I had a stat boy, I would give him a raise for finding that one, but I just have a Daniel. No raise for him.
Come on.
Sorry, buddy. Pittsburgh's chances of getting all of their offensive stars on the field at once increased yesterday when the NFL announced that Bryant, suspended last season, is allowed to resume practicing with the Steelers. Now, this is important. There's no word on his regular season status yet. This means no official word on his fantasy status, but hopefully that's coming soon. If/when Bryant is fully cleared, I'm big on the big 6'5" receiver. Over a 17-game stretch Bryant played in from Week 7 of 2014 to Week 13 of 2015, 7 touchdowns of at least 20 yards. By comparison, only Odell Beckham and Sammy Watkins had more 20-yard touchdowns than Martavis Bryant in that span. He is a big play waiting to happen. And now if you take Martavis Bryant's per-game average with Ben Roethlisberger and expand it over 16 games, he would have been wide receiver 23 last year. Phenomenal talent, obvious risk. But because of both the potential upside and how deep the wide receiver pool is this year, I'm totally fine with the risk, especially at his current ADP of wide receiver 33. Now, there is a growing story in Oakland as Amari Cooper continues to miss practices with an injury to his left leg. After yesterday, he's missed 5 practices in a row. 5. I wasn't too concerned after his first missed practice. I still wasn't concerned after 2 missed practices, but 5 in a row for a player who's never missed an NFL game? I'm giving it a definite eyebrow raise. See that? Kind of an eyebrow raise. Kinda, sorta. Yes? No? Point is, I'm not dropping Cooper in my wide receiver rankings yet. I still have him as wide receiver 14, but you now definitely have to keep Cooper's injury status in mind as your draft approaches. If the leg issues linger, Michael Crabtree will catapult up draft boards from his current ADP of wide receiver 21, and Cordero Patterson and Seth Roberts will go from undrafted wide receivers to guys that could potentially be fantasy relevant. Even Jared Cook would see an increase. Derek Carr's fantasy ceiling, he is currently my quarterback 9, would also take a hit without his number 1 receiver. That's one of the issues with Carr, the lack of depth he has at wide receiver. Now, we're not bailing on Cooper yet, but do keep that eyebrow raised. Now, I know what you're saying. Matthew, there was a preseason game on TV last night. I can't imagine life getting any better than that. Well, I got some good news. Tonight, there are 7 preseason games. 7! It's all the excitement and flawless execution provided by Thursday Night Football, but now with a heavy sprinkling of backups and vanilla defenses. Woohoo! Unfortunately, there are a few top players missing from tonight's contest. I'm going to let you read them while I check on some emails. Groupon from mini golf. All right, so some people are sitting out, but there's still going to be things you're going to want to keep an eye on tonight. In fact, there's 3. Number 1, running backs, Vikings, Bills. Hopefully, our first look at Dalvin Cook. And which backs will the Packers feature against the Eagles? What will LeGarrette Blount's fit be in the Philadelphia offense? And how do Rob Kelly and Samaje Perine look for the Skins, especially considering Perine's pass protection problems? Say that 3 times fast. And does Danny Woodhead look back to 100% healthy for Baltimore? Number 2, wide receivers. We've got Kenny Britt's first game with the Browns and a competition between Jordan Matthews and Nelson Aguilar. All 3 potential late-round wide receiver options worth keeping an eye on. And number 3, Carson Wentz. Wentz tailed off at the end of last season, just 1 touchdown or less in 5 of his last 6 games. But I'm bullish on him this year and have him as my QB 17 with definite upside. Tonight will be the first indicator if he's ready to take that next step. Now, Secret Squirrel.
Yeah.
I turn to you, my friend.
Okay.
What are you looking for tonight?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm actually excited to watch the Browns game to see the way they use Duke Johnson as a receiver, how they're going to use him out catching passes. I'm really hopeful that I get to watch Leonard Fournette put someone on the hood because that never gets old. You know what I mean?
No, it never gets old.
But the big thing that I want to know.
Have you ever put somebody on a hood?
No. Not really my thing.
Fair enough. Understood. All right.
The big thing I want to watch is the Packers, the way that they use their handcuff running backs for fantasy purposes. So, obviously, Ty Montgomery becoming a full-time running back this year. If he struggles or gets hurt, which one of those rookies is the backup to own, Jamal Williams or Aaron Jones?
I think it's Jamal Williams. I think you'll see Jones on 3rd down some. He's the better pass catcher. But our own Rob Demovsky talking about Jamal Williams has already gotten some reps with the first team.
Yep.
He's the best of them in pass protection. But obviously, when you've got a franchise quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, that is hugely important, especially with rookie running backs. So Williams is the guy that's had the best camp so far in terms of pass protection, and that's who Demovsky says is going to be the backup. So if Demovsky says it, that's who I'm saying.
Fair.
If you draft Ty Montgomery, your handcuff is Jamal Williams. Hey, make sure to check out the debut of our TV show. That's right, we're putting this on TV at some point. And that day, August 16th. It's going to be on ESPN at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, we'll be daily at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Wish us luck.